right, dude. One more episode to cover in Chapter 2 of Andor Season 2, Episode 6. Wrapping up that Block 03, the finale segment. That seems to be their pattern. I didn't go into this thinking there were going to be any kind of massive cliffhangers. And unlike Episode 3, which I thought ended on, at least the one with Tay Paloma maybe getting thrown out of a flying limo that they never mentioned in this block, by the way. Like, that's just like, no, it's cool. That happened. You all saw the writing on the wall. And you know what? Maybe we didn't need that.
All you needed was subtext.
Great. Yep. You just had to read it in between. So I'll give them. That's what we keep clamoring on and complaining about when they don't do stuff and they hit the nail on the head. They didn't hit the nail on the head. As much as I wanted to see his drunk ass get thrown out of that limo, it would have just been funny. Like, that would have been okay.
Problem solved. Right. Problem staying solved.
A little bit of this. There we go. Oh no, I don't know. He fell. I don't know. Like, it was just like that. But this episode wraps things up in a nice, neat little bow. I would suggest that the finale scene almost wraps things up a little too easily, too on the nose. I'm talking, of course, about the Bix slow-mo walking away in front of the explosion scene. I don't know.
Don't look back.
Don't walk away. Right? Did you see my tagline, by the way? I thought that was pretty clever with the whole World War II.
Saving Private Andor.
I'm just saying, it's not the most clever, but I tried. Had a busy day. But we're gonna do these in reverse because we weren't doing beat by beat anyway. But there was, of the whole episode, the Bix Andor scene at the end rubbed me really the wrong way. I'm not gonna dump on the episode because it was good. Great episode. The wrap up with the Gorman front, the Luth and Rail Andor stuff was all really strong. A lot of good stuff. But this last segment, it's wrong for this show in all the wrong ways because, again, I said in episodes 4 and 5, the Empire lacks menace, and they continue to lack menace through this episode. Bix walks into an Imperial facility, right? Executes the doctor that tortured her, and it only takes her shooting one guard on the way out to pull it off. And then Andor does the Dark Knight Joker thing and clicks the button, and like the floor in the big building explodes. And it wasn't even all that great of an explosion. The Daredevil explosion in his apartment was better than that. So she needed whatever they had.
And that was just a grenade.
Dude, apparently that was just a grenade. Like your typical, what's a grenade? An M65? Is that the typical anti-personnel grenade? Like that's what they had? Blew up the whole floor.
Blew up the whole floor. Dude, Matt needs to find a new place to live.
Ooh, right, dude, done. Building condemned. We got to call in power, water. Probably some structural
Ghostbusters losing the top couple floors of the high rise.
Yes, like Dana Barre's apartment went up. That was Matt Murdock's apartment. This was a little bit, and good. You know what? Maybe he didn't want to hurt the business that operated on the other side of the building. Maybe that was Andor's play because we see him get a soft spot for some people.
And I can justify this and why it was. Okay. They set it up in episode 2 where he's talking to him and he's like, they want us to move our good, like the Emperor's found use in our good doctor and doesn't just want him to be an ISB asset. Meaning he's moving out of the, it's like the Navy provided a old building for them.
Oh,
so he was moving in. Wasn't on the base.
Right. Okay, so it wasn't like a level 6 detention
center.
No,
they're just starting
lockdown.
Yeah, they're just starting to set this up. Right. So it gave them the end they needed.
All right, dude, I promise you now, over the week, I'll find some time. I will make the graphic that says it's the King Z reminder of the week, and we'll get like a little, it's like the more you know, right? I will do up that graphic, and every time you point out some bullshit like that, I'll be like, okay, click, and we'll just run it, because that's exactly right.
That's the great thing about this show is that there is no throwaway dialogue.
It's true. I should know that
even their jokes or telling something about the past ties into something later or that they're referring to before. Like some shows have throwaway dialogue, and I believe in putting throwaway dialogue. It just makes it feel more real.
Yeah, well, and also, and it can be used as a deceptive tool. You know what I mean? It forces you to actually pay attention as the audience. Like I just screwed up. But you're exactly right.
They play stuff off as throwaway dialogue, but it actually ties back into something that might happen later. So I actually enjoy that about this series is that you do have to pay attention because what people say. You might not have to pay attention to all the actions, but you do have to listen to every word they're saying.
Yeah, no, that was a bit like on further review. You're exactly right. That's exactly how that went down. Partagrass explained it out exactly why it was going to be a thing. And I even remember while I was watching the episode when they said that the doctor had been repositioned. I think it was Gorst was his name. That Gorst had been recalled and sent somewhere else. When she was approaching that building, I was like, dude, when that door opens, it's going to be a whole room with those black Imperial interrogation droids. He's going to have invented the fucking droid. Thank God they didn't do that. Thank God, because I'm tired of that. That's too many callbacks.
I thought there would be someone else in there, like they caught somebody from one of the, or they brought someone in, and that he was
caught one of the underground,
underground, or one of the people working that we would recognize, or it could have even been a senator trying to change his vote.
Okay, you see, that would have been next level ill, but we know Gorst ain't coming back. So that's a wrap. So hopefully he kept really good notes because didn't end well for him. Yeah. And again, they had some really good sound design with this part too. Is she wrestles the headset onto him. We get a look at his face through like an observation window. So when the machine actually goes on, he starts hearing the sounds. Like the expression he throws in is fucking chilling.
Yeah,
and
I love that they put the mask over him so no one would hear him yell or scream. Yep. And then,
he was just all with his eyes.
And then how they we heard it in season 1, but they zoomed out like outside the soundproof glass, and just all you had was his expression.
Yeah, exactly. Good stuff. Good shit. And we know that absolutely ruined Bix. So I'm thinking maybe the slow-mo walk goes like 10, 15 more steps, and then you hit the detonator. Like really stick it to this dude before you blow him up. But like, yeah, the slow-mo walk away in front of the fire was one thing. But let's talk about like the meat and potatoes of this one, right? Because we finally get a Luthen Rail speech conversation, right? He's picking up Andor from the failed mission on Gorman because Andor is basically giving him the rundown. Dude, these guys aren't ready. This is too dangerous for us. They don't know what they're doing. If you agitate them, if you bring them in, they're going to get everybody fucking killed down here. But before that even happens, Luthen's talking to this dude like they're buddies. Oh, look at you, you're all dressed up.
Yeah, and who is this guy?
Who's this guy? Like it's basically that. And I'm like, dude, this is the same dude, right? That went to like Bix's apartment and gave her the grandpa vibes. It's like you can see him manipulate. Like he's honestly trying to manipulate fools that are already working for him. He's still trying to work them over. But Andor's grown up a lot since season 1. We saw that just how he conducted himself with the what do we call them? The underground, right? The Gorman underground.
Yeah, underground.
They have a name,
and
are they
how
the Gorman front? Real quick, are they the Gorman front? That's what they're called on the show, I think.
I think so, but I like the underground better.
Underground's better. Yeah, we're gonna call them the underground for sure.
But you also saw that when they were working with Jungle Commandos Left Behind. Yeah, how he kept trying to talk to them and and instead of what he would have been like in season 1, where he was still kind of new. Like he didn't actually choose to join Luthen Rail full time until the end of it all.
Oh yeah, he was in prison for half the effing season. Remember?
Yeah, he was in prison, and he decided to help when Luthen saved him after the first 3 episodes.
Right, but then the heist happened, and then he went to jail.
Yep, then he went to jail because he was in the wrong place at the wrong time, walking, doing nothing.
Going to buy groceries the morning after hooking up with some hot green chick. Orange chick.
When he had all that money he made, was it 200,000 credits he made?
Made. Borrowed, perhaps. I don't know. But
no, that's what he was trying to get paid. Is that?
That's right. That's right. He didn't steal payroll money.
Yeah.
Right. So here, Rail picks him up. They're having the chat on the way back. Andor warns them these guys are no good, but Luthen's dialed in, and I think his first line is like, "Can you imagine a planet like Gorman, wealthy, big status, in open rebellion?" And Andor's like, "What's Andor say to him in response to that?" I think he says,
"Even if it burns."
Yeah, I wrote the I wrote the quote down because it was that good. What's he saying? He says, "You don't care if they all burn." Oh no, no. I don't remember Andor's setup. Damn it, I wish I wrote that line. But the response from Luthen Rail verbatim is, "Then it'll burn very brightly." I'm like, this is some cold-blooded ass old dude right here. This dude is in it to win it. There's no faking it till you making it. Nothing. He's out for it.
So you have to think about the conspiracy theorist about 9/11. Like, we let 9/11 happen, just like we kind of let Pearl Harbor happen. This is what they believe. So we could go in and attack the Middle East to get their oil.
Get big strong.
Yep. And that's what they believe. Like, I think they even released a new documentary where people are saying they never saw a second plane. They just heard a bomb go off.
I watched it live.
Yeah. And they didn't really have that good CGI back then either. So
not unless you were Jurassic Park, bro.
Yeah.
Hello.
But it's that type of, you need that response. And like, the ISB is hoping for this response as well, so they could come in, take over the land, and
martial law.
Get their was it Chiron crystals, their high synthetic Chiron crystal that's buried underneath.
I don't remember what they called it. Remember, that's the one I said that's like the plot from the new Jedi New Dawn book, where I thought we were going to get the appearance of Kanan and Jarrus. Maybe we still do, I don't know. But that was one of the main plots of the book, is the Empire has a habit of strip mining to the point of global physical collapse. Like the planet becomes unstable. They don't want the silk. They could give a shit about the fabric.
Yeah, and what they're going after is what's going to power the Death Star.
Right.
Which I think,
that's in canon somewhere. That it's not Kyber. It's not Kyber crystal. It's something completely different. It is a crystal. You're right. It's some kind of ore.
Well, that's why in Rogue One they were on Genitar, the home of the Jedi, the beginning of the Jedi, is they were getting the Kyber crystals for the giant laser. This is to power it.
Although maybe it is Kyber. Yeah, maybe it is Kyber crystal. I thought they said something different.
Yeah,
when they first did that propaganda piece that I
this one might be different because this is for the power core, for the unlimited power.
Not the laser.
Not the laser itself. The laser was built out of Kyber crystals.
Right. True.
Which, if you don't know, that's the crystal that makes lightsabers. Yeah. But like we saw in the end of season 1 that Andor helped build the Death Star when he was in prison.
In the prison, the work detail.
Yeah, when he was in prison, they were building the pieces that built the big laser dish.
Yeah. There was a lot going on there for sure with them talking about Gorman, but I thought that the better line that came out of the conversation with this, and this wasn't as this, and none of it was as good as Luthen's real speech in season 1. That shit hit. But we got a lot more episodes to go through, and I bet they have a Luthen speech in episode 8, 9, 10, 12. Well, this goes 12. So they'll give him one in like 11 or something. I guarantee it.
2 more weeks.
Right. But it's his back and forth with Andor, and this one that was really great is Andor is citing all the reasons why they can't do something. Why Gorman shouldn't be involved. And Rael says, "You're thinking like a thief. You're thinking too small." And Andor says, "I'm thinking like a soldier," with the implication that's what you wanted from me. And then Rael gets right up in his grill and he's like,
"I need you to think as a commander,
as a leader." Right? Same vibe, right? You're exactly right. And I'm like, okay, you've been put on notice, dude. He's got expectations for you. Like, you're not just a cog in the wheel on the same level as the rest of the people on this crew are. He needs more from you. But I thought that was, again, that's the stuff I'm showing up to this show for. That back and forth, these two characters, like Luth and Rael being mean as all hell, but always being right in what he's saying, is exactly what I want. You know? That's the vibe I want from this show. It's too dark down here. I gotta cut this out and get a fucking flashlight. Oh yeah, here we go. I'm gonna read myself back in.
All right.
So they wrap that scene, and this dude's already on the phone with Clea back at base, and they're talking in code. And he's like, "Yeah, you remember that other item you were sourcing? Yeah, send it out." And of course, that's Vel, right? Going to Gorman as Plan B because Cassian just turned him down, and he's going to disregard that assessment of the Gorman front, the underground, as we call it. So again, I love the code, the spy master code talk, because they know the Imperials are monitoring transmissions like everywhere in space now. Doesn't matter your quadrant, doesn't matter where you are. I mean, except for like deepest outer rim, which Gorman is not on. Like Gorman is like core, Galactic Republic.
Yeah, it's core
big money,
world.
Right? Big money. Like they're not out in East Bum. So I love that little attention to detail, because that's straight up like old World War II movies, like the black and white. They're on radio dials. They're doing code talk and shit. I love that, dude. It's so cool. And it's something we don't get whenever we jump into the mystical side of the Star Wars. The other stuff we like with the Jedi and lightsabers and use the Force and Sith and all that. That's a whole different vibe. This stuff, I could dig Cold War Star Wars. I'm with that. I'm with Resistance Star Wars. That stuff's fun. But yeah, so now Vel shows up and we reintroduce Cinta to the mix. That's her girlfriend, a strange girlfriend from season 1.
Yeah.
I don't remember why she was she wounded at one point in one of the late episodes, because she was talking about I had an accident, so we couldn't get in touch. That's why I never followed up with you or whatever. I don't remember how they.
I don't remember where she was hurt, unless she was hurt in the Battle of Felix.
I don't know if she was there.
She was there. She was watching.
Oh, that's right. She was. Oh, that's right. She was. I have to go back and rewatch that.
Yeah, they were trying to find Andor, because remember, they were supposed to kill Andor after the heist because he's seen Luthen Rail's face.
Yes, that's right. I do remember that part. I have to go back and rewatch that. But anyways, Cinta and Vel are now Luthen's agents on Gorman. They're working with the Underground. They have another good scene where Vel puts them to the same pace as basically Andor did when she's like arriving and being like, "You guys are a bunch of fucking amateurs. Like, good God, like, stop having people follow me. I knew it was you." Like, she had all the permutations of the same warnings, basically, that Andor had given them, but she signs them up, right? Cinta shows up. They're like, "What's the plan? What do you guys think you can do?" The head of the Gorman front there, the Underground's like, "Well, they're sending in shipments. We know they're weaponizing. They're not just building like an office complex. They called it a complex. Andor calls it a complex office." And I'm like, dude, they wrote that wrong in the script. They wrote those words backwards. Yeah. It's an office complex, 100%. Like that. I'm not going to charge you guys for this one, Lucasfilms, but yeah, run your spell check. Your grammar check should have picked that up, right? It's not an office building. They're building an armory. Like, we've got rumors. We know what we know. We just need proof. So they plan another heist. And you're like, okay, because that's fun. That's what a guerrilla group would do. It's asymmetrical.
Especially if you don't have weapons.
Right.
And they don't. Very unarmed people.
Right. They're a fashion plan. Like, their whole export, they said, is this stuff. Like, we could be crippled instantly.
Because everything has to be imported in.
Right. And they mentioned the blockade in a couple of places. So they're like, we're gonna plan a heist. Vel and Cinta's advice and instruction, it's harsh and cold, but it's factual, it's accurate, it's on point. They're like, we're going to get in.
Orders, you're going to get everyone killed.
Right. No guns. We'll have the only 2 guns, and that comes back to bite them in the ass, of course. Set up very nicely. But they had a very Ocean's 11 plan. They check the routes, they check positions. They're like, do we have control of these rooftops? How long until the response team gets here? It's 8 minutes. Let's plan for 6 minutes and be out. Yep. You know what I mean? We take what we can carry. We don't get greedy. Everybody does their job. And you answer directly to us, Vel and Cinta. Not, what's the old man's name? I'm sure, Underground leader guy, whatever. I don't
was it 19 generations fabric seller?
That guy. I mean, they all had names, because I think they were, that's my complaint on every show we watch. I feel like they use a name once, and unless you're like A-list above the fold cast and they say your name 3 times, like, you're just like Resistance dude, old Resistance dude, Resistance drunk. Like, it just doesn't.
We just call him Doug, because there's always a Doug. In every language, there's always a Doug. So
he's Doug. All right, then he's Doug Senior, and Doug Junior will be the stupid one. You know who I'm talking about, right? And then they got other Doug, the guy with the dark hair, but like, he doesn't really do anything. Yeah. And then there's Doug Chick, like his daughter. So we got like 4 Dougs. All right, we'll use the Doug system here. So Doug Senior's like, as they're going over the plan, Doug Jr. and the other Doug chick, the blonde chick, who's like, wait, why does she get the gun? We live here. This is our world. This is our fight. Why are outsiders telling us? And the old man's like, okay, are you serious, bitch? She's like, shut up. We don't know anything. They could have killed us. Andor was right. The guy picking up trash outside the ISB that you've known for 10 years, he could have been with them. And you would have just blabbed the whole front plan to this guy because you thought you knew Jacques.
Yeah.
So they fall in line. They run the assessments. They're like, they plan out the route. The heist scene goes down, and I thought there was some legit tension to it too. They lay out the stun mines, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I like that they use that they use ion mines instead of an explosion, because I think that would draw more attention. It would.
Oh, and it might have ruined what they wanted to take.
Yeah, that's true.
You can over disable a vehicle and set it on fire. Like, that's a concern. But the ion mine was dope. I like that. I like seeing new tech in our shows like this. That was fun. So it goes off. And I love the whole time, and this is the best part, is that Cyril's on Overwatch for ISB as he's acting as a Gorman Underground guy. Yeah. But he's calling in the info to Partagast and Daedra.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, he's watching all this shit happen. I'm like, nobody on the ground is wondering why there's not like a security detail. But then it dawned on me. The Empire wants you to think that there's nothing going on, that it is just construction materials. So why would you have a security detail? And then it's a level above that. They're not trying to spring the trap on you yet. So that's why the security force doesn't even get there. And that's why Partagas is like, all right, we're sending them in now. Make sure they don't overdo it.
No, make sure that it's loud.
It's loud, right? To let them know we're coming.
Yeah.
Right. They didn't want to over disturb. They really just wanted to see where all this shit went. So there's probably tracking devices in the cache somewhere or something. Who knows?
Or how they did it, or just who's all involved.
Hey, because Cyril's down there with the fucking binoculars, just like face scanning shit. You know, he can match up names for them whenever he wants at this point. But like the punch of the episode, of course. And again, this was set up good because in episode 4, where we had the town meeting, the guy that gave him the Gorman finger, I was trying to think of the gesture, the Gorman finger, right? He comes stumbling down a road drunk, right? And it's after Blonde Doug had walked away, the other little old lady from the town hall meeting, so they're escalating. But oh no, we got to go the other way, Grandma. It'll be okay. Let's get you home. The drunk dude comes down the other alley, and he is rumbling, stumbling, acting a fool. But maybe he wasn't as drunk as I thought, or drunk at all. But stupid Doug, who brought a goddamn gun to the fucking heist, for some reason, goes right to pulling that after telling this guy once, hey, don't come down here. We're trying to do something. And this dude's like, are you really pointing a gun at me, Sonny? Because I'm going to fuck you up.
Yeah.
You know, like, okay, you don't mess with that guy. That guy's not afraid of you. Right. Yeah. But they scuffle for the gun and it goes off. And you got like this 5 seconds where you're like, okay, which one of the good guys got shot? Is it the old guy? Is it the daughter? Who is it? It's Senta.
Yeah.
Right? Ouch.
Did you see?
Not too big of a deal. Yeah.
You see Cyril drop behind cover. Shots fired. Shots fired.
One shot fired.
One shot fired.
Okay. That bordered on Marvel joke, kinda, but he was so effing panicked when he delivered it because he's Super Troopers, dude. That's who he is. He's so like, it's this big. He thinks it's this big. Every story, every fish. Yeah, you caught it. It was that, but you tell the tale. But Senta takes one and she's dead. She's out. It's not wounded, just like Brasso. Like there's no heartfelt goodbye. She's like, you are dead. There's no drama to it at all until Vel realizes what happened. The old guy, like they're all like, we got to scramble. We got to go. And Vel's like, I can't leave her. And like, dude, the drunk guy's like, go. I'll take her. And I'm like, dude, that was the most moving part of the scene is he just fucking scoops her dead ass up and puts her in the truck. And I'm like, oh my God, dude. And then Vel dressing this dude down on the drive out.
Yeah. While he's crying.
Look at me. Oh my God. That was savage. What did he say? So she was a warrior. You're nothing. Like you'll never be like a tenth of whatever she said.
Yeah.
Like he may as well just unconnected his nutsack and handed it to her because it's done. Like you're done. You're not in the resistance anymore. Like just go be a carnival barker and sell spiders. That was pretty savage because everything was going well. They were unloading crates. They were getting blasters, whatever.
Yeah, good. They were chucking them. They were throwing down the slide. They were getting them moved. Like it was a very efficient way.
Just like the payroll heist in the first set. In the first set of episodes last year.
Until one guy like crawled over and got his blaster.
The one security guard that they failed to account for, like tripped the alarm or something and like fired a missing shot. He died, if I remember right.
Yeah.
But it was just enough to make the noise, Yeah, so the heist goes sideways. They do make it out with Senta's body and with however many crates they got. And then I don't remember if it was before that or after that, but one of the wrap-up scenes there is when Partagas is talking to Daedra privately. I think it's earlier than the actual shootout that happens. But he's like, yeah, Cyril can't really know what's going on here. So then that really just like locks in, like, dude, no, you're still a pawn in the worst way. And this dude's been gaslighting you with the whole, good job, Cyril. Good job. Oh my God.
Yeah, he thinks that
he's for you in the
he's there to hunt out the insurgency. Instead, they're trying to start the insurgency.
Through you.
Through you.
And they're not telling you that because they think you're an idiot.
Yep. Definitely.
Because if they didn't think that, they'd have just brought you in on the planning and you'd have been like, okay, great idea. Let's go do that shit. But no, you're a sucker. So they had that going for them.
Speaking of planning, let's talk about getting rid of this listening device when they go to the party, Imperial party, and it starts off with her and Luthen Rail both getting together. Yep. And then, of course, they're talking to people to find out what's going on, how things are set up, because they said they're going to redo the audit of it the day after the party. So they wanted all in display. So this is their one chance to get it before it's inspected. So they're doing what they do. They mingle. You have like Luthen Rail and Luthen.
And he does that, dude. He does that with that long curly hair and the hand gestures. Very much the showman. Yeah. She still looks like a bitch most of the time.
Yeah. And then she's talking to the curator of this guy's collection. Yeah. And is like, did you tell Luthen? Like, no, I didn't tell Luthen. I promised you. Because when she went back to the store to find something to actually replace it, she was there and she's talking. She's like, nothing tied to Luthen at all. Not his stuff. It was something we picked up somewhere else.
Promise.
Yeah. And it's like, we don't want Luthen to know because, we don't want to bring down the integrity of our collection.
Unwanted attention and all that other stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So she finds Lucas, redheaded guy from the ISB. Lonnie. That's it. Lonnie. I knew it was an L. Yeah, and she's like, and she starts up and just giving him the backstory. It's like, your wife came in, you came in something for your wife. We're flirting. That's natural. Your friends over there are going to believe it. And you're coming with me. And he's like, what are you doing? What? This is a dangerous place. And she's like, it's
two different people.
Come with me. And this just the smile. He's like,
dude. He goes about 4 shades lighter skin than either one of us. Like, all the color drops out of him.
Yeah.
And she turns on the only smile in 12 episodes I've seen her. And she's really pretty when she smiles. Like, honestly, she turns on the beam and she lays it out exactly like that. It's like every Black Widow scene ever in like Marvel where like Natasha's undercover and she just turns on the dazzle. And it's like, just listen, do this. It's dangerous, but I need you or we're boned. Yeah. We're all boned. That's how it's going to go down.
That's a question I don't need answered.
Right. It was a good setup to get them in the room where the collection is. Just to set the scene. It's a giant ass room.
Yep.
But it's got like 12 pedestals with different pieces on it that are probably, I don't know, 15 feet across and like a box of 15 feet. You know what I mean?
Not including you had 4 columns that are in the dead center of the room.
Right. But I mean, like all these pieces you could walk to like in 5 steps to connect each one. You know what I mean? Like not a giant spread out area.
Yeah. And then they come in and then she's actually giving her a backstory of this piece. And it's like, and this is my favorite piece. Luthen's going to tell them that because Luthen and his group come in right behind. And who's in his group?
Mother flipping director Krennic on that ass.
Yep. With Mon Mothma, which them two are diabolically opposed on the way they do things.
The fascism and then the reference about one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fight. Dude, Krennic hands it up a little bit here. A little bit. He did.
It reminded me of the way he played in Ready Player One.
Oh, that's right. That was him. That's right.
Yep. He's the always bad guy.
Always bad guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
He did ham it up there a lot too. That's right.
Yep. Which he shouldn't have, and don't get me started on that dumpster fire of a movie.
I know you didn't like it. I gave it a 7. I said what I said. Anyway.
Yeah, I still haven't recorded my response to your.
Just work on that and just tag me, please. So they get into that conversation, which is good because again, it's politicking done right. It doesn't specifically mention U.S. politics 2024, 2025. It's theoretical. It's philosophical. It's not ripped from a headline, so it works, and all the actors are great. And Mon's pretty good too. Like she's very much the heart and soul of the rebellion. Like we know that Luthen may be like the blood and the muscle, and may have had like the fire and intensity to do it, but like it survives and perseveres because of her. 100%.
Yeah. And the thing is that when they're going back and forth, you can see the frustration on the hostess because he's just trying to talk about his piece. We don't need to keep tying this back into overreach of the Empire. This is my piece, and I want you to see it.
Because it's one of because they say it's one of 8 in the world or whatever. We thought one of 12, and we thought only 3 of them survived or some shit. They were talking about it before.
Yeah.
And he very much wants this all to go away.
See my money and appreciate me.
Look at me. Right. That's very much.
But the whole time this is going on, they're over there at this piece, which is like a book that's like for touch because they consider being blind like a huge gift.
Now, I thought he said at first they consider being blind. No, they consider sight a disability. And then he gets it wrong when he recounts it when he's questioned later. And I thought that was going to be a stumbling point where he says that being blind. No, wait, I thought a friend, he said having sight was the disability. And that's why that entire race reads by touch, but that by reading like with your eyes would be lesser. And then Lonnie gets it wrong later. And I thought Krennic picked up on that. I have to go back and rewatch that scene now because I thought there was something to that. But anyway, it's a giant sundial looking thing with ridges and you read with your hands. And she's very much putting in the performance to sell it.
Yeah. And she's like, I'm getting out of listening to a huge microphone out of this. You're going to block their view. And he's
while rubbing your hands on it.
Yeah. Now move to the left.
Mm-hmm. Why?
He's like, you're going to get us both killed. Move to the left. And then he finally just moves to the left. And then
that's all he needed to do.
She unscrews this. And I thought they had super technology. Why was their listening device the size of an apple?
Dude,
stuffed
it's like
in
the size of stuffed into a thing the size of a soda can, which needed some kind of multi-tool that only had razors for edges, apparently.
Yep. You saw that when she's when it gets blood stuck, her hand is just dripping blood.
I'll say this for this show. I thought they were going to go on they were going to twist the screws, no pun intended, a little too much with like the tension in that scene because they kept cutting back to other things as she's trying to twist the gauge. That way it would drop the piece out or whatever. I thought sooner or later she was going to have to like kick it or something stupid, but she didn't. But as she's making these attempts, we're cutting away to other things and coming back, and the conversation of the group is coming closer.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
They're moving from piece to piece at this point.
Exactly.
Because kind of like their arguments over. So now they're just enjoying the pieces.
Right. And again, to their credit, the subtlety involved in the episode in this case is we didn't see the moment she managed to pop the piece free. We just see the aftermath where she's walking away
with Luthen.
With Luthen outside. And I'm like, I'm looking at her hand and I'm like, no blood, no bandage, whatever. It didn't matter. Yeah. But they did the best line of that scene, right? Is Luthen Rail goes, he's like, oh, fuck, we should have probably just killed Krennic while we were up there. And she laughs.
Yeah,
and
they both laugh as they walk away.
It was so legitimately authentic that I was like, motherfucker, they probably actually do both regret that and find it morbidly funny.
Yeah.
I love that. I laughed at that when they said that. Because again, there was no tension at that moment to undermine by making the in-character joke. Like they had succeeded in a mission with no losses, no casualties, Andor didn't
no one discovered, no asset burned.
Right. They didn't have to burn Lonnie. Oh, dude, I wrote that down. Oh, I think I wrote down that Cyril's definitely a burn. He's getting the burn notice. That's going to happen at one point. But yeah, that's what I mean. Like they pulled this whole thing off. So they've earned a joke in that moment to wrap things up, even if they were using the stupid techno music again at that point. And they were. Stop it. I don't like it. But yeah, no, I thought so. It was a good finale episode to this chapter. We get 6 more to go. But as far as this one went, I thought that this was a lot of fun, this episode here.
Yeah. This is also the halfway point episode.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good point. So I think maybe we should have a quick 2-minute discussion then. As this is the halfway point, they've got 6 hours of time left, give or take a minute here or there.
Yeah.
To wrap up this is it. This is the second season's all they're doing.
Yep.
We're gonna get a year later, so we're 1 year closer to Rogue One. You were saying earlier, you think we're staying on Gorman to follow up with the front because there's probably too much going on there to move it to somewhere else, or because I think I look at that like that could have been a whole self-contained thing. We could pick up chapter 3 with Luthen and Andor looking back on whether or not Gorman was effective or not, or whether Gorman fell maybe because they did build the armory. I don't know. But they do have the heist to contend with, and Cyril's still kind of embedded. So I guess maybe not.
I think it's going to start off with them getting the insurgency to happen.
Like pop off publicly.
Yep.
Like
get the shot heard around the world type moment.
You're probably right. Because the more I think about it, I really think setting up as much world building as they did with the Tarkin and the town square stuff, I think they're due for Tarkin part 2. Like I think someone's going to get hung there. I know they did the hanging thing already though.
Yeah,
in season 1, that maybe a firing squad or something terrible is going to happen there again, and then Gorman's going to like rise fully. I think open rebellion, like barricades stormed. You know what I mean? Empire being over, just like Ferrex, because I think that's the point. As at this stage in Star Wars, that the rebellion's fire is growing. It is spreading across free worlds.
Yeah, the tighter you grip, the more systems will fall through
your fingers. Yeah, the Leia in the house. Word up. So yeah, there's some good pickup points here. Anything else to say on 6, and then we'll get into some flavors.
I liked in their conversation that they were talking about what's the race that Admiral Akbar is?
Mon Calamari.
Yeah, they were talking about them as, what do they do to do this? And like they're the ones who build all the ships for the
Galaxy, like the super cruisers. They have tech, dude. They ain't just over there assembling shit, right?
Yeah. So I liked how they brought them up, because that's one of the big turning points in the Rebel Alliance is when they switch sides and join the Alliance and start giving them their ships, because their ships is what turned the tide for their Navy.
Right. They need capital ships that could compete, or at least hypothetically compete with the Star Destroyers. Like they have fighters, they have small vehicles.
Yeah,
they need capital size ships.
And then the one that the part is where Andor faced off with Luthen the second time in that episode, where he comes to the shop. And he's like, you made such a big mistake. And like he played it off as like, when we came with the shipment, I left this behind. You brought it to me. I like how they always do that when they're talking to someone. They're giving them the backstory of why they're there, if they're ever questioned and stuff like that. They always do it too.
Luthen always does it. He's smart enough to push
Luthen and his right-hand man. She's doing it too.
Yeah, for sure. Because that's, they've definitely brained out this entire thing that makes this work. They're the ones that are holding it all together.
But yeah, he was there because he was upset that he came to meet with Bix while he was gone, and then he never brought it up to her. And then you have like the scene where she can't sleep and she's taking the drugs again. And then we get into the part that we open this discussion with them taking the shot.
Slow-mo walk around, slow-mo walk away.
Yeah.
Like, that still kind of does rub me the wrong way, because it's kind of like, does this mean that she's over everything now and she's not broken because she had the defiant?
It's her first step to recovery.
Yeah.
That's what I think it is. It's her killing her demons, so now she can fight back. Because the whole time she keeps trying to tell her, "I'm better than you think I am. I'm better than you think I am." And this was like trying to prove she's better than they think they are. So I know we circled back, and we usually don't do that, but I just wanted to get that point in there.
That was worth adding in there. I think, and right on top of that, I'll say, she can tell them that she's better than they think she is, but she's also still waking up and like pointing guns at like doors, in like the middle of the night, because she is still paranoid and rightly so.
Maybe this will fix that, because every time she wakes up with guns pointing at doors, it's Dr. Gorse.
True. Good point. All right, dude, bring me up the flavors, dude.
All right,
dude. You're back in the guest spot. Take your shot.
We're going Pitmaster on this one. I really like this episode. It was fun. It was witty. It had a lot of draw to it. It tied up the 3 show arc pretty nicely before we did our next time jump. If there is one, they didn't say it's going to happen every week, but I'm guessing that's just the way they set it up.
It has to, because of the BBY setup, doesn't it? To get it really. Yeah. If the transition goes from the end of the arc into Rogue One, it has to. I don't see how it couldn't.
So I'm really enjoying this. I wish we had something more. And I think if they wanted to do a future thing, would be really great with maybe some of the planets or great houses trying to pull power, and then like the whole power vacuum that is left with the New Republic destroyed and the First Order scrambling. I think this is would be a really good type of show as well, to get a little bit more without Jedi, Skywalkers, Vader. It's just something different is this style of show. And that's why I'm loving it. That's why this episode gets a 9, Pitmaster.
Oh, you're going all the way up to the top of Pitmaster. Okay. I was going to ask you to actually distinguish. That's good. Dude, I think I'll probably do the same. I think I'm going to go right up there with you. I'm going to give it the Pitmaster 9. It did wrap up everything in the block. Very nicely done. I like we actually see some stakes and some losses being kind of like we're taking the toll now. We lose one of the original gang, died in combat to friendly fire of all things, and that makes it even worse. That it wasn't an Imperial that shot her in the back while they were escaping last second. It was like somebody that was told, leave the guns at home, follow orders. We know what we're doing. So that happened, which was kind of brutal there.
Friendly fire's not friendly.
The friendly fire is never friendly, dude. We get the Luthen and Andor scene that I've been waiting for through 6 episodes. I love they're kind of like the anti-Luke Yoda, anti-Luke Obi-Wan is probably a better description. Like, they're on the same team. The one guy's teaching the other guy, but man, if they're not total dicks to each other for valid reasons every time they talk, so I like that flavor. And to wrap up my final thought there, I agree with you. I used to think that Star Wars was dependent on the Jedi, Skywalker, all that stuff, because most of the good stuff we grew up with, that's Star Wars. That's what we had.
Yeah.
Dude, there's a whole effing universe out there that could tell you these kind of stories. I disagree with folks that say it doesn't always have to be rebellion empire, because I think that really is kind of the backdrop of how this works.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to have the Emperor mentioned in everything. It doesn't have to have Anakin or Luke mentioned in everything. But that central conflict really does frame what's going on. I don't care what's happening on a planet that's not part of this struggle. Why would I? There's a neutral planet that doesn't get involved with any of it, and it's way out in the Outer Rim. Well, who cares? So it's the Office in the Outer Rim. Maybe that's funny. I don't know. But I like the idea, like we're talking the other day about the Starfighter movie that may be coming out. I like the idea of either a rogue starfighter pilot or like we were saying, there's a rebellion flight academy that squares off somewhere in combat with like the Imperial Navy and a TIE fighter squadron, like based loosely on like one of the old games. Like, you can do stuff without lightsabers. That's all doable. But I think you do need threat of empire, underdog rebels doing whatever morally shades of gray you want to frame your thing in. Andor does it very ambiguous shades of gray, but I could do more, light side, dark side, just kind of politically and in normal people without the Jedi stuff. I'd be down for that. So again, Andor's doing stuff for me. I wish more people were watching it so we'd get more stuff like this. But I've seen the rumored numbers on this show and what it's getting for eyeballs, and it's less than season 1, which is disappointing. I was really hoping that this would kind of kick in, because again, I see people gushing about this show that like it, and they have specifics like we've had for 6 reviews. When people gushed about the Acolyte, people never had specifics of what we like that lightsaber fight in the forest. 1 scene, 9 episodes. Like that's all you're talking about. And then you talked about politics. We've given you specific scenes, casting decisions, lines of dialogue, set design, costume design, cultural design. It's clear this is a better produced show than that. So it
way better.
I think it's just disappointing that eyeballs aren't on it. And it's like
professionals versus kids.
And then kids ain't ready for the grown-up table, writing, production, or otherwise. So it's sad, like you said on the last set of reviews, that the brand damage is just, if this isn't the proof in the pudding, that it's probably irreparably damaged, unless there's some ridiculous, Luke, Han, Leia reuniting with good CGI deep fake and get to do like actual hero stuff. Or recast. That's dangerous ground. The nerds might not like that. I don't know.
Sebastian Stan's just still sitting there.
Dude, he's right there. Right there. Anyway,